Hi there, and welcome to Plant Powered Millennials, the podcast where two millennials bring the evidence, the tea, and how-tos on health, whole food, plant-based eating to jumpstart your journey to better health.
We inspire you to make small, sustainable changes to protect your health today and prevent chronic illness tomorrow.
I'm your co-host, Vivian, in Queens, New York. I work as a program coordinator, bringing whole food, plant-based education to promote community-wide health.
And I'm your co-host, Grazelle, based in Tennessee. I'm a lifestyle medicine physiotherapist, and I help people make healthy lifestyle changes and make these habits stick.
All right, let's start off with what's on your plate or what's in your cup, because I know you have what's in your cup.
Yes. Well, this is a hot cocoa for the cold weather. It's just made out of 3 ingredients. I have the cacao powder, this one,
Nice.
and date syrup and unsweetened soy milk.
Can we
Plus, I
get
have a
close up?
frother.
Yes. I was going to say, can we get a close up on that froth? Because it just looks so magnificent. That looks just like a Starbucks drink,
I know, right?
but much healthier.
Yeah. Kudos to my husband for buying me one last Christmas.
Oh, yay. Best gift. So
Yep.
I don't have a plate with me, but I had a really great meal during this week. It is very cold in New York. There were a couple of days where it was strong winds and it was painful to go outside. So I was so happy when my coworker invited me to have a nice bowl of vegan pho. And this vegan pho is great because the broth is actually oil-free. And it was full of kale, broccoli, tofu, and jalapeno peppers. It was delicious. It's my favorite to have in the winter.
I love pho. Do you use sriracha and hoisin sauce with it?
Oh, I do, but I don't know. Do you put sriracha sauce like as soon as you receive the bowl and over everything? Or do you have it on every bite?
I have it on the side, but I have it on every bite. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have
Because
it
I'd be
every
on my chopsticks and the
spoon.
soup spoon. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, what are we talking about today? We are going to talk about how to transition to a whole food plant-based diet using a method called one a day. And one a day method, this method is where you start with just one plant-based meal a day, and then you gradually build those meals to multiple meals. And the benefits of doing this is that it focuses on simplicity and sustainable habits so you can continue doing it. And it helps you to avoid burnout. Now
Yeah.
we're going to discuss the foundational principle behind it. And that is that small, consistent steps make the big goals attainable.
So basically what it is, you just do one plant-based meal per day.
Simple enough.
As simple as that. Yeah. That
Baby steps.
as a way to transition to a whole food plant-based lifestyle.
You actually have a story that goes along with this because it speaks to how you have also approached whole food plant-based eating. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. This is what I have taught in my YouTube videos about, how I transitioned to a whole food plant-based lifestyle. My strategy was on a week by week basis, with week 1 as the planning stage. Week 2 is where I practice dedicating one meal per day to eat a whole food plant-based meal. So what led me to do that though is, the first 30 years of my life was a medley of junk foods and fast foods, and my meals were a staple of meat, chicken, and rice. If there were vegetables, I would push them aside. My
Oh,
parents really
wow.
tried. Yeah, they would put it on my plate, but I would just, sneakily push them away, put them on my sister's plate or something. Because I knew that my taste buds were accustomed to that hyper palatable foods, I thought about I should just slowly and gradually train my taste buds to like fruits and veggies. Another thing too is I had to consider, based on when I researched about plant-based eating, the tendency of, because my body is not so used to a lot of fiber, I thought that doing one a day would help with that transition so that my gut bacteria would be able to develop the right bacteria for all these fiber rich foods.
Yeah, that is something important to keep in mind, that the foods that we eat, they create the environment of that gut bacteria, and the quality and the type of food really determines the healthy status of our guts, and that can have an impact on other areas of our well-being. All right, let's break this down. So you mentioned that you spent the first week really planning out the meals, and you weren't jumping right into eating this way, but it was more of a week of doing the homework, putting down foods that you already like or you are eating typically. So let's go over some examples that you can easily swap for the healthier versions. And they really may include foods that you eat. So for breakfast, you might have oats, overnight oats, or, if you want to cook the oats on the day of, and you can put almond milk, chia seeds, banana, and berries. So you have your whole grain, and then you have it topped with natural sugar. And the other option is for those who love scrambled eggs, tofu scramble is a thing. And you can mimic the color of it too using turmeric powder. And you can accompany that with veggies, spinach, tomatoes, and you can have a side of toasted bread as well. And Grazelle, you have a resource here for us.
I do. I also think that of all the three meals between breakfast, lunch, and dinner, in my opinion, I think breakfast is the easiest one to swap for
I
a
agree.
whole food plant-based meal. Because I believe in the philosophy of always do the hard thing first. So, which is why I work out in the mornings, that's one reason. But also for those who are seeking to change their diets to a healthy plant-based one, I think breakfast is a good way to start because you can plan ahead, the night before or the week before. It's just easier that way. So I made a free PDF of plant-based breakfast recipes, free to download. It will be in the description below. If you're interested, there's going to be overnight oats and chia pudding recipes and smoothies too for breakfast if you're interested.
I think that'd be really helpful. Moving to lunch, some examples you can consider is a grain bowl where it's a mix of quinoa, chickpeas, cucumbers, tomatoes, and drizzled with tahini dressing. Very, very filling meal, and it's a well-balanced meal too. Another option is a vegan lentil soup with a side of toasted whole grain bread.
All those.
Both delicious options.
Not every lunch, of course, but
Oh, yeah. And then if we move towards dinner, you could have stir-fried vegetables with tofu and brown rice, season it with tamari or soy sauce. Or you could have sweet potato and black bean tacos. Yes, tacos are acceptable with avocado and salsa. And if you're feeling peckish and you want some snacks, I am a snack person myself. You could have anything, involving fruits, apple slices with almond butter or peanut butter. You could also have with hummus for those who have allergies from nuts, and roasted chickpeas. They kind of remind me of popcorn if you roast them in the oven. And you can use a variety of spices too, like smoked paprika. You can use nutritional yeast. It gives that cheesy flavor, and edamame. So all great options for snacks. So the rule is, if there has to be a rule, is to really keep it simple. And as part of this one a day method, it's to simplify, and so you don't have to feel any pressure or burnout or feel you have to scramble to find the most perfect meal. Keep it simple.
That's fair. Like around the familiar foods that you already enjoy. So for me, for example, I'm so used to Filipino food. So I just started with that and made some plant-based swaps. So it was like easier to prepare already because I'm familiar with the recipe already.
And for me, my usual to go to for lunch is lentils. It's not really a
Mm.
soup, but it's a lentil, more like a lentil stew. So I put more vegetables like carrots, broccoli. So it's filling. It never fails.
So how does that look like now? So if we're gonna do the 1 a day method, how long are we supposed to be doing this?
Okay, so it's really going to vary. We sort of planned out a roadmap that we were looking at a month if we wanted to chunk it by week. But of course, depending on how fast you want to move, you can follow that or you can just dive right in. But then if you're someone who really wants to take the time and it's going to take some more planning for you and mental preparation, then you might slow it down. It might take you longer than a month.
That's right. Because either way, if you do 1 a day for a week or stretch it out for 4 weeks, that is up to you and that is fine.
Yeah, this is not carved in stone. We're just giving
No,
you a template, and it really is customizable and it's so individually based. So
it
feel
is.
free to use it how you wish.
As for me though, personally, I did the 1 a day for a week. And then the week after that, I did 2 a day. And then the week after that, it was all meals, whole food plant based.
So this would work for someone if you were to erase everything and you were coming this brand new again. Perhaps something like this would work for someone like you.
Sometimes when you scroll through the transformation stories like in Forks Over Knives or in the nutritionstudies.org, I see some stories where people make dramatic overnight transitions. And I know that's what you did, Vivian.
That sounds more aligned to my story. I didn't really have to go through steps. It was pretty much overnight. What catapulted me to do that was I watched the documentary and it was so compelling for me that I had no problem doing it right then and there. I needed some time
Which
to practice.
documentary was it? Oh,
It was
sorry.
actually Earthlings, which does focus more on the animal welfare. So that's where I'm coming from, and my journey has led me to finally whole food plant-based eating. But I just recall, one of my meals was a large salad bowl. And this is not your typical like one serving portion salad. This could have fed 5 people easily. And I used a bunch of ingredients, vegetables, and salad by itself. It's not really dense, but I just loved knowing that I could eat as much as I wanted until I was satiated and not have to worry about, am I eating too much? And it was just the right amount of food for me. And the quality, the ingredients too, because I knew I was eating nutrient dense foods. It left me feeling super high energy, really focused. And yeah, till this day, I mean, I don't do it every day, but I
Mhm.
do love my salad.
So this is to say that 1 a day is not the only way. It is one of the ways. But there are also some people where overnight transitions work for them, like Vivian, for example. And I did the gradual process.
Okay.
So either way, we were able to make the change.
So there is actual science behind this habit formation, creating sustainable long-term habits. And in terms of how this habit formation and plant-based eating can come together, we can look to the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I know that you read it. And how do you think that
Yeah.
can fit into this plant-based eating one a day method?
Yes, I did. Actually, I made a YouTube video about it, about how to transition to a whole food plant based diet and make it stick, make it permanent. using the principles from the book Atomic Habits. One favorite principle I like is that it teaches that small changes compound over time. The tendency is for people to like go all in. I do know that for most people, the gradual process works best. There are just special people like you who can do it overnight, cold turkey. No pun intended. What I see, because I've helped, other people transition to this lifestyle, friends and family. A lot of them, the habits didn't last for long. And this was like in the early, I was maybe like a few months into the whole food plant-based lifestyle at this time when I started to introduce it to my social circle. And one thing I saw is that they go all in immediately and they exhaust all of their energy and brain power on it. Then we forget that it's actually the small changes, the small things that actually makes it like more sustainable. So that is why I like the 1 a day method and transitioning slowly like this, depending on your preference and of course how you feel like you're progressing towards this lifestyle.
I think I haven't read the book yet. I know it's
Mhm.
really widely read, but I would also offer another factor that can play into a successful habit maintenance is consistency. Small,
Mhm.
consistent. It reminds me of when you go to the gym, you want to have a great physique, and it's not about lifting as heavy as you can, but going to the gym consistently and building that strength. And then before you know it, you accumulated all those daily habits to reach your goal. And I think it's the same in this situation too. If you're consistently trying to improve your next meal, incorporating more plant foods, and you are building those healthy habits and the health benefits are just compounding. So I
Mhm.
think that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. And then, in my case, for example, it was just like months after adopting this change, I was surprised that eventually I crave and I like genuinely want to eat whole plant foods versus the junk foods and all of the previous foods that I used to eat. It was like maybe 6 months after eating whole food plant based, I decided in a Christmas party that, we had a beef brisket at work, the Christmas party that I used to eat before. We always have that at the party. And then at the time I was like, well, I've eaten healthily for so long. I deserve this. Let's
Mhm.
try. And when I took a bite of it, it was like
That was like good.
it it didn't taste the same as how I remembered it, you know. But I mean I'm sure it was good because my coworkers enjoyed it.
Change your palate. It does change your
Yeah.
palate.
And so after that I took another bite and I'm like, man,
That's enough.
no. Mm-mm. So I went with the green beans and the mashed potatoes that was available at the buffet.
I feel the same way about like salt. If it's really overly salty, it just doesn't taste good to me. And I know it's
Mhm.
one of those irresistible kind of, it gives a very irresistible flavor because salt does give flavor. But for me, I just want something raw, like vegetables. Like I want raw vegetables. I don't need it to be overly
Yeah.
seasoned or, extra salt added.
There's another thing I learned from the book Atomic Habits that's pretty good is understanding why you want to make these changes. I mean, you have to establish your deepest reason as to why you had to make this change. One thing for me that was, at least to me, was the studies that I read about the benefits of moving towards a more plant-based lifestyle. One major study is the Adventist Health Study 2, which found that plant-based diets are associated with lower rates of chronic diseases and lower rates of all-cause mortality.
Yeah, I've heard about that study. The event is how they really
Mhm.
focus on more plant heavy meals.
That's right.
So we learned about the psychology and the nutrition science behind these habit formations. Now let's summarize all of this. So key takeaways. When you are eating more plants, regardless whether it's one a day or it's every day, even just starting with one a day, you're improving your health, you're helping the planet, and you're creating good habits for long-term success. So we have a challenge for you. We would like you to start right now, today. Choose one plant-based meal that you'd like to try. And of course, when we say try today, you can use today to plan it. What are some meals that you would consider eating? And commit to that plan. And we actually have a PDF, a weekly planner PDF to help you set up your meals so that you have your list in front of you and you can refer to it to help you transition successfully.
That's awesome. Like a template, right?
Yes, with the template and your breakfast recipe PDF as well.
Yes.
Give you
Mhm.
options. So that's one meal that you got covered for you.
Exactly.
And remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. We start small, stay consistent, and appreciate the food, appreciate the flavors.
Yes. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Vivian.
See you in the next episode.